The restaurant buzzed with the soft clatter of plates and the low hum of conversations, but for Ethan, the single dad sitting at the corner table, everything felt painfully still. He had come straight from work, still wearing his blazer over the shirt his 5-year-old daughter Lily had insisted on picking for him. "Blue makes you look friendly," she had said with a grin. He had smiled, pretending not to feel nervous about going on his first blind date in years. After losing his wife, the idea of dating had seemed distant, almost impossible, until his sister set this evening up and refused to take no for an answer. "Just talk," she had said. "You deserve someone." The woman he was supposed to meet was named Maya. He'd repeated her name several times in his head to make it feel real. But as the minutes stretched, he realized something wasn't right. The server returned for the third time, politely asking if he'd like to order while he waited. Ethan forced a smile and said he would wait a little longer. 30 minutes passed, then 40, then 50. He checked his phone repeatedly, wondering if she'd text, if she was running late, or if there had been a misunderstanding. Nothing came. Eventually, he sighed, thanked the server, and paid for the drink he'd barely touched. Just as he stepped out into the cool night air, he reminded himself not to take it personally. People got nervous, plans changed, maybe something serious had happened. He took a deep breath and headed toward the parking lot, feeling the ache of disappointment settle into his chest. All he wanted was a quiet drive home, maybe sneak a peek at Lily sleeping and remind himself why he kept trying. But as he approached his car, a faint sound drifted through the dimly lit parking area, soft at first, then unmistakable. Someone was crying. Ethan stopped mid-step. The crying wasn't the dramatic kind but quiet, broken, almost like someone trying hard not to be heard. He followed the sound, his instinctive worry rising. It was coming from the passenger side of his own car. He stepped closer, heart thudding, and saw a figure sitting on the ground, knees pulled to her chest, arms wrapped tightly around herself. Her dark hair hid her face, but the trembling in her shoulders told him she was upset. "Are you okay?" he asked gently, keeping his voice low so she wouldn't feel threatened. She lifted her face slightly, and he froze. It was her, the woman from the photo his sister had shown him. Maya. She had been at the restaurant after all, but not inside. Her eyes were red, her makeup smudged as if she'd been crying for a long time. She quickly wiped at her face, trying to pull herself together. "I'm so sorry," she whispered. "I know you must think I'm crazy. I couldn't go inside. I panicked." Ethan crouched down so he wouldn't loom over her. "Hey, it's okay. You're fine. You don't owe me an explanation." She shook her head, embarrassed. She explained that she had been watching him from the parking lot, trying to gather the courage to walk in. She hadn't been on a date in years either, not since a painful breakup that had left her anxious about meeting anyone new. When she finally decided to go inside, she saw him waiting so politely, looking composed, and suddenly felt like she didn't belong there. Ethan listened quietly, his frustration dissolving. She had been there the whole time, struggling with her own fears. He reached out his hand slowly, offering, not forcing. "How about we start right here? No restaurant, no pressure. Just two people talking next to a car." Maya hesitated, then placed her trembling hand in his. For the first time that night, Ethan felt something shift, like maybe the evening wasn't over after all. Maya took a shaky breath as Ethan helped her stand, brushing off the dust from her jeans as if doing so could erase the fear she had been battling. The parking lot was quiet except for the distant buzz of traffic, the streetlights casting long shadows around them. Ethan opened the back door of his car and grabbed a small blanket he always kept for Lily. He draped it gently around Maya's shoulders, careful not to make her feel pitied. She held it tightly, surprised at the softness of the gesture. No one had taken care of her like that in a long time. They walked to a bench near the far side of the lot, one of those metal ones placed under a flickering lamp. Maya sat first, her fingers knotting together nervously. Ethan sat beside her, leaving just enough space so she didn't feel crowded. For a few moments, neither spoke. The silence between them wasn't awkward this time, just quiet, like the calm after a storm. Finally, Maya let out a small laugh, brushing her hair back. "You must think I'm ridiculous," she said quietly. Ethan shook his head. "No, I think you're someone who's been hurt. That doesn't make you ridiculous. It makes you human." His voice had a warmth that settled something inside her. She told him more about the breakup that had shaken her confidence, how she had given years of her life to someone only to be told she wasn't exciting enough, not ambitious enough, not sparkling enough. Those words had carved themselves into her mind, showing up whenever she tried to meet someone new. Tonight, they had almost kept her from stepping into the restaurant at all. Ethan listened, absorbing every word without judging. When she finished, he told her about Lily and about losing his wife. Not the tragic parts, he didn't want to overwhelm her, but the truth of how lonely it had been trying to raise a child while pretending he had everything under control. Maya looked at him with soft eyes. It must be so hard, she murmured. Ethan shrugged. Some days. But Lily keeps me going. And I guess, moments like this remind me that maybe life still has surprises. They continued talking, the air between them growing lighter. Maya found herself smiling, even laughing at some of Ethan's stories about Lily's dramatic tantrums over broccoli or her attempts at matching his clothes for work. For the first time in a long while, Maya felt safe with someone. The fear that had wrapped around her chest slowly unwound. By the time an hour passed, the chill of the night grew stronger. Ethan noticed Maya shiver and stood up, offering her his hand again. Come on, let's get you warm. There's a cafe 2 blocks away that stays open late. No fancy tables, no reservations. Just hot cocoa and bad lighting. She smiled, wiping the last traces of tears from her cheeks. That actually sounds perfect. They walked together down the quiet street, their footsteps echoing softly. When they stepped into the small cafe, the warm air and faint smell of cinnamon wrapped around them instantly. The cashier barely looked up, clearly used to late-night stragglers. They ordered 2 hot chocolates and found a small booth near the window. Maya cupped her hands around the warm mug, feeling her nerves settle even more. As they talked, Ethan noticed how her eyes lit up when she relaxed, how her voice softened when she spoke about her love for baking, and how she nervously tapped the side of her mug whenever she was unsure of what to say. He found himself wanting to know more, wanting to keep her talking, wanting her to know she was wanted, not for being perfect, but for being real. Maya, too, began noticing things about him. The way he listened with full attention. The way he smiled without hiding the tiredness in his eyes. The way he talked about his daughter with genuine adoration. A warmth spread across her chest that had nothing to do with the cocoa. For the first time that night, she wondered if maybe fate hadn't been unkind to her after all. Maybe, just maybe, the blind date she had been too afraid to walk into was the one she was meant to find right here. The warmth of the cafe settled around them like a comforting blanket, but the real warmth came from the quiet ease forming between Ethan and Maya. Their cups were almost empty, yet neither made a move to leave. It was as if the soft glow of the dim lights and the peaceful hum of the late-night chatter created a bubble that kept the rest of the world out. For the first time that evening, Maya felt her heart stop racing. She wasn't thinking about how she looked, whether she was saying the right things, or whether she was good enough. She was simply present. Ethan noticed the way her shoulders had relaxed, the way her laughter came easier, less guarded. He leaned back, letting himself enjoy the rare feeling of connection. It had been so long since he'd felt this comfortable with someone. Every date he'd forced himself to try in the past had felt like a reminder of everything he'd lost, everything he still feared. But sitting across from Maya, he didn't feel guilt. He felt possibility. They talked about simple things at first, their favorite movies, embarrassing childhood memories, the best kind of pizza toppings. Then their conversations deepened naturally, as if their hearts had been waiting for a safe place to spill open. Maya confessed how she often felt like she had to hide her emotions because people called her too sensitive, as if caring deeply was a flaw. Ethan told her how sometimes he lay awake at night worrying if he was doing enough for Lily, if he was being both a father and the mother she lost. At one point, Maya reached across the table and touched his hand gently, almost shyly. "You're doing more than enough," she whispered. Anyone could see that. Ethan's breath caught at the sincerity in her voice. Her fingers were warm, soft, hesitant, but the touch grounded him in a way he didn't expect. He didn't pull away. Hours passed without either realizing. It was only when the cafe lights flickered, signaling closing time, that they blinked back into reality. They stepped outside into the cool night, the sky clear and sprinkled with stars. Maya hugged the blanket Ethan had given her earlier. She hesitated as they neared his car, a nervous flutter returning to her stomach. "I didn't expect tonight to turn out like this," she admitted softly. "Honestly, I thought I'd go home crying again." Ethan opened the passenger door for her, then paused, leaning lightly on the frame. "I'm glad you didn't," he said. "And I'm glad you were brave enough to come tonight, even if it was hard. His words touched something deep inside her. She smiled, small but real. When he drove her home, the quiet between them wasn't uncomfortable, it felt like trust. When the car stopped in front of her apartment building, she didn't unbuckle immediately. She looked at him with a mix of gratitude and uncertainty. "Do you think we could do this again?" she asked, her voice trembling slightly. Ethan didn't hesitate. "I'd like that, very much." She let out a breath she didn't know she was holding. Then, with a soft goodnight, she stepped out. Ethan waited until she reached her door before driving away, his heart lighter than it had been in years. The next morning, Ethan woke to the smell of pancakes. Lily stood on a stool, balancing a bowl and spoon, her hair a tangled mess. She beamed when she saw him. "Daddy, you're smiling weird. Did something good happen?" He scooped her up, laughing. "Maybe," he said, "maybe something very good." Later that day, as he packed Lily's school lunch, his phone buzzed. It was a message from Maya. "Thank you for last night. I haven't felt safe with someone in a very long time." Ethan stared at the words, feeling something warm bloom inside him. He typed back before he could overthink, "You deserve to feel safe. And I'm here, whenever you're ready." As he hit send, he didn't know what the future held. But he knew one thing. The blind date he thought was over had just begun a story he never expected to write again. And for the first time in years, the chance of something new didn't scare him. It filled him with hope.